morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the latest in our industry webinars. And today we're going to be looking at the whole issue of SIRE 2.0 and how SIRE 2.0 and digitalisation are reshaping maritime and crewing operations in the tanker sector. Before we sort of get into the debate, just to sort of give the delegates coming in, and they'll be coming in their sort of areas of coming in and out as they normally do. I will be asking the panelists to introduce themselves and give a little bit of an insight into their views on this, and then we'll then go into a debate. Just on a housekeeping element, you'll see at the bottom of the screen there is a Q&A facility, and this is for delegates as much as for anybody else. You've got a chat facility and a Q&A. Probably use a Q&A if you can. It just means that everybody can see that. If you send a chat, you can send a chat to Leonid and he will just see it, but that's not good for everybody else. So if you've got any questions, please send them in, and then I will then put those in front of the panelists as well. Just to really talk a little bit about SIRE 2.0, just for the uninitiated, it's a ship inspection report program, modernised, digital and more comprehensive tanker inspection regime launched by OCIMF. It was launched in September 2024, and it replaces the original SIRE program by introducing a risk-based, human-focused inspection model that uses a tablet-based system and includes performance and influencing factors to assess hardware processes and human elements. That's the sort of official explanation on that. We'll find out a lot more today. So my name is Sean Moloney. I'm Chief Executive of Elaborate Communications, as well as publisher of Ship Management International and a few other things. I will ask the panelists now really to introduce themselves. Probably easier for them to do that. People like to talk about themselves, and that's good. I'm going to start top left and end up bottom right. So Frans, if I could start with you, if you could introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, and a little bit, over 2 minutes, a little bit of a snapshot into your views on this issue. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Frans Ubaghs. I'm a Senior Vetting Manager and Deputy Marine Director at Intertanko. For those who do not know Intertanko, very briefly, an organization of tanker owners, tanker managers, leading the continuous improvement of the tanker industry. We are just short of 190 members now, short of 4,000 ships, tankers operated by Intertanko members. And then what are we looking at? Developing and promoting best practices, being a positive and proactive influencer, and profile and promote the tanker industry. Not easy these days. And obviously providing services to our members. So in my role as Deputy Marine Director, supporting the Marine Director of issues like the Seafarers Initiative, which is looking at attracting talent to the industry. Also working on the tanker operator top-up training, and then the seafarers transition to shore. And then on my role as vetting managers is really looking at quality operations, safe navigation, and tanker risk management. What we have done, we were very proactive, let's say, on the SIRE to develop the Seafarers Practical Guide, because you put it very nicely, Sean. It's risk-based, it's new, it's a document of 1,294 pages. So it's a huge document, and what we tried in Intertanko was to compact that to something useful for the seafarers, and very popular in the electronic version, where it's a sort of interactive system, let's say. And then what we have done also is developing a benchmarking tool, but I'll have time to talk about that later, I suppose. So that is me a little bit.
Yeah, I think the benchmarking is something that we'll really focus in on. I think that's quite important. Things SIRE2 is introduced by the all majors, OCIMF, and we're all going to implement that as well. So lovely. Well, thank you very much indeed, Frans, and again, introduction. Captain Zalenski, if I can pass over the microphone to yourself, sir. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and why or how SIRE2 affects the operations and the work that you also within Colombia.
Hello, Sean, and thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. My name is Leonid Zalenski. I am the Group CEO of Columbia Ship Management. Obviously, SIRE 2.0 is an important change in tanker industry. As we all know, SIRE was first introduced in 1993 as a risk assessment tool for energy companies. And definitely, SIRE system has significantly improved safety records of tanker industry. But it was a time to change something. And based on that, the OCIMF members and energy companies worked quite some time on the new system, which was introduced on the 2nd of September of last year. And this new system was introduced under the name of SIRE 2.0, and it's introduced quite significant changes. In addition to my main occupation as a Group CEO of Columbia, I happen to be in the same team with Frans. I'm Vice Chair of Intertanko Vetting Committee. So from very beginning, Intertanko was very actively involved in the preparation for SIRE 2.0 in terms of reviewing the related processes jointly with OCIMF members, working on the training, working on many other aspects well before the launch of SIRE 2.0. And I think the Frans personal contribution and contribution of Intertanko was quite significant in terms of making very smooth introduction of new system. And I think we are on the right track with that. And I'm sure that SIRE 2.0 will significantly contribute to safety standard of tanker industry.
Take my mute off, and also, I mean, we'll come in and talk a little bit about the training and the crewing aspect there, Leonid, later on as well, because there's a lot of that involved in that side of it. But thank you very much indeed for your comments there. Fabian, really over to you. You're bottom left of my screen. If you could introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of perspective again as well, and then over to you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sean, for the kind of introduction, and also hello, everybody from my side. My name is Fabian Fussek. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kaiko Systems. We are a digital platform, a software tool that helps shipping companies build a structured and standardized data set at scale and make it easier for seafarers to do a better job on board of the ship. We have started the company about 5 years ago. We're based in Berlin, London, Singapore, and all across the globe with our team of about 45 people. And we are working with around 1,500 ships of over 40 shipping companies worldwide. And what we do is we help shipping companies prepare for SIRE 2, but also for other audit and inspection regimes like port state controls, RISQ, as well as general vessel health management. What we do differently than many other companies out there is we help shipping companies prepare in a way that really takes the seafarers very seriously and puts them in the focus when it comes to preparation, and puts a lot of responsibility in the hands of the seafarers while making it easier for them to prepare for example, a SIRE 2 audit. That means we are providing mobile-first applications that allow the seafarers to use our software on the go and really do also the checks and inspections when it comes, for example, to hardware questions in SIRE 2 on the go, using an intrinsically safe tablet, as well as going through quiz questions and self-assessments, also with non-intrinsically safe tablets and devices then inside the accommodation, and do all of that in a way that is really tailored towards every single rank. So basically we studied and worked through the official SIRE 2 document that was already mentioned as quite a heavy one. And we have broken that down together with industry partners, with SIRE inspectors, as well as with our internal maritime expert team into a manageable and applicable and highly relevant question set for every single seafarer, so that they are more prepared to the questions that an inspector will ask them. And that's, of course, a big change with SIRE 2 over VIQ 7, that the individual seafarers have much more responsibility and are being questioned much more individually from the master to every single rating. And yeah, that's where we come in. And I'm going to talk a bit about our learnings and our insights today. And also I'm going to share some case studies that some of our customers were so kind as to share. And yeah, we'll talk about how to be successful with this regime that has brought so much change to the industry. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you, Fabian. And just to sort of, just want to ask you one little question based on what you've just been saying there. You know, you talk about greater emphasis on the role of the individual, you know, and the questioning of the individual. Have long complained about an awful lot to do on board ship when it comes to inspections, when it comes to a vessel coming into port. You've got P&I, you've got port state control, flag state, you've got charters coming in, all of this going on. And then you've got a 1,294-page document that they need to know, adhere to, and all the rest of it. Is it all too much for them?
Well, the good thing about SIRE 2 is really that the intention is that it's a continuous regime that really builds on top of the good work that is being done day to day, and then the knowledge about the work, the processes, and ensuring that everything is audit ready every day, so to speak. So it's less about getting everything fixed and ready on the day before the audit, but basically putting systems and processes in place that support the safe operation of the ship continuously. So in that sense, the intention, we believe, is very correct with SIRE 2. But nonetheless, we do see a clear correlation between the time spent and the time invested and the effort invested in preparation and the outcomes of SIRE audits. So I think it would be naive to say that it's going to get better or the workload will get less. I think all that we can do really is make it easier for the people on board of the ship to do a better job and provide them with tools that respect their reality on board of the vessels.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Fabian. Thank you. And finally, really, bottom right of my screen, Captain Kapila. Captain, can I ask you just to introduce yourself, where you're from, and how SIRE 2 comes into your world as a flag state as well?
Thank you, Sir Sin, and thank you for inviting the Bahamas Maritime Authority. I'm from the Bahamas Maritime Authority, the flag administrator based in London. My name is Kapila, and I'm the Deputy Director and Head of Seafarers and Manning. And the Bahamas flag is the 8th largest flag registry, and in terms of tonnage, and the 4th largest in terms of the worth of the port. Why this topic is important for the flag registry? Obviously, we want to maintain the standard of ships across the fleet. It is flag's responsibility to make sure the ships are safe and maintain the quality of the ships. Flags has to do the inspection ourselves to maintain these standards, but all the other port state control inspections, SIRE inspections, and all other inspections and charterers inspection, port inspection, everything. All these inspection regions are above the average inspection regions. So we are very welcome because we see the effect of all these inspections when we compare fleets, bulk, general cargo, container, tankers, passenger cruise liners. We see the difference. So that's why it is important to maintain this. When I come to digitalisation of SIRE, master captain of LNG ships, I'm LNG master. I've been done SIRE myself, and in my era, it is totally paper-based. So we were having some questions when we were doing the SIRE and sending it to the office. And now, once digitalized, the back office staff from the ship management side, it is more easy to manage the data. So I see the benefit. So I stop there and we can discuss more on the benefits.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Kapila. Thank you for your time on that. And just to sort of say to the audience as well, please, as you listen to the debate, as we start getting going on this, any questions you have, just whiz them through, and we'll do our best to actually get them in front of the panel. We have an hour. We will be finishing on 11 o'clock, as promised to everybody. But we want to get moving on this. So I'm going to start really just looking at first question: how has SIRE 2.0 impacted day-to-day ship inspection activities compared to the previous SIRE system? Again, I'll start. Actually, let me start with Leonid on that. Can you give me your perspective on that? And I know we're going to be talking about benchmarking. We're going to be talking aspects of that. But how has 2.0 impacted the inspection activities compared to the previous SIRE system, in your views?
Thank you, Sean. Indeed, SIRE 2.0 has significant impact on the way the inspection process is done. Under VIQ7 and the previous inspection regime, SIRE inspection was pretty much technical inspection, which provided snapshot of vessel's condition at the moment of the inspection. SIRE 2.0 looks into perspective how the vessel was managed and is managed by the company. What is the level of crew familiarity with the processes and procedures on board? And findings of SIRE 2.0 are divided into three main categories. It's human, processes, and hardware. Obviously, the human element related to vessel's operation went to completely different level under the new inspection regime. And if under VIQ7, the main workload, let's put it this way, in the inspection process was on the master and senior officers. Now SIRE 2.0 involves all people on board. It involves senior, junior officers, and ratings. And as Frans correctly said, 294 pages of vessels inspection questionnaire doesn't make life easier. Actually, the expectation of crew familiarity is sky high, but how to make people familiar? Because at the end, familiarity is a key element here. Familiarity with the industry requirement makes the operation safer. And this is the benefit, the main benefit of SIRE 2.0. But in the same time, as Fabian correctly said, we need to make compliance easier. How to match these two? How can we increase familiarity, but in the same time, make the compliance with the requirements easier for our crew? And this is where digitalization plays a significant role. This is where digital tools are helping companies to do the better job on the preparation for the inspection, to build up level of familiarity which is required for successful process of SIRE 2.0, and how can we analyze the result. Different elements of that, of course, element of preparation, an element of analysis. And it's a fantastic combination of members of panel here. Kaiko, which offers very efficient solution and very efficient tool on preparation for the inspection and building up the level of familiarity, and Intertanko and benchmarking tool. I think I stop here, not to manipulate the conversation, and I'm sure Frans will tell us a few words about benchmarking tools, and then we can we can hear something from Fabian with regard to Kaiko and what Kaiko offers in terms of preparation and familiarization.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Leonid. Frans, can I bring you in on that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sean. And I have a question for Captain Leonid, but he might answer that later. What I hear from members, from our members actually, is that yes, there is the administrative burden, absolutely, no doubt about. And we are talking with OCIMF to make the process. You know, you have to type the dates of your certificates, etc. And it's so easy to make a mistake, and there must be a better way or an easier way these days to link that automatically to the OCIMF system. But that's an ongoing discussion. Now, what I wanted to highlight here with Captain Leonid is what I'm hearing actually is that yes, you have now the ratings who are interviewed. So there's another way of preparation. From the other hand, quite some of our members are convinced that it enhances the safety in general, because you have now lower ranks, be it junior officers or ratings, whom do not have to tick a box anymore. Where to, during an interview or preparing for an interview, they have to say, hey, I have to answer these questions. And the questions are generally simple. Why are you doing the job, what you are doing? Why are you doing it the way you are doing it? So it makes think about where can you find the instructions how to do it. It makes them think about how and why they are doing the job and not ticking a box. But ongoing on the benchmarking, what we have developed in Intertanko is a tool and no extra administrative burden. This is so important to know where the operator or the members of Intertanko can simply download the file from the OCIMF website and drop it on our website, and that's it. So just drop it over there. Within 1 hour, the whole benchmarking will recognize the negative observations, the number of negative observations, the number of positive observations, etc. And there is so much filtering possible in there. It's to say I can compare how am I doing my ship against the same size of ships, for example, or the same type of ship. I can compare to the whole Intertanko membership or those who are using it. I can find the KPIs like how am I doing in the, compared with the TMSA? Yeah. How are the PIFs, etc. So it's a very handy tool. We had like after 1 year, I think there were 22,500 inspections done by OCIMF, and we had something like 5,500 reports. So roughly 1/4 of the fleet, which is inspected by OCIMF, which is not bad, but it's only a part, of course, which is there. So important to know for those who want to use the benchmarking. It is a very easy to use tool. You just drop it over there, and there's so much filtering what you can do, so much information what you have immediately available there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Frans. Fabian, let me bring you in, just touching, you've got the benefit of listening to the views of Leonid and also Frans here, but increases and encourages benchmarking as well as moves away from the box ticking scenario there. It's all about explaining how you do things and how the seafarers do their operations. Well, what are your thoughts on how SIRE 2 is impacting the inspection activities?
Yeah, a few points I already mentioned, right? So I'll keep it short. Basically, the new inspection regime has turned from a periodic event into more of a continuous readiness regime that has a more sustainable perspective of really making sure that people know what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think Frans summarized it quite well. And now that inspectors are explicitly assessing human factors, the crew awareness and how well the day-to-day practices really match the SMS, that really matters. And practically, it also means that officers and ratings are doing more structured self-assessments, more photo documentation, and even more targeted drills ahead of vetting instead of just polishing paperwork, so to speak, just a week before. So we believe that the intention is going in the right direction. And where we've seen the biggest change of how operators, managers prepare for SIRE is that it's really about providing tools that allow every individual crew member to prepare in a structured way. And yeah, we've seen that when there's preparation happening, then there's also quite a successful outcome that you can expect. And yeah, that's more of a daily experience now than the old, I hope the inspector just asks the question that we prepare for, and more of having confidence in one's own role and responsibilities.
I mean, just sort of touching on that, many gaps that existed in manual vessel inspection processes and that digital platforms can now help to close. I mean, can you identify, have you seen any of those sort of examples where you've seen gaps before in SIRE and now the digital version through SIRE 2.0 is able to actually be more efficient and actually, resolve those issues?
Well, the big change that we've seen is that it seems a bit more fair and objective due to the standardization of which questions to ask and the clear guidance and algorithms that define which questions are being asked. And so that had definitely an impact. And even though there were, I think, startup difficulties where also the inspectors had to become more familiar with how to utilize that process, we see that the ship managers feel that they have more trust in the system and the process than before, and that this new algorithmic-based question selection leads to, in a sense, an increase in perceived fairness of the process.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Fabian. Let me bring in Kapila. Thank you. And just get your views. I know on the inspection side, this is very much on the charterers element and outside of what the flag states will be doing as far as their inspections are concerned. But we're talking about human factors here, which you've already alluded to is very, very important with those aspects. What's your perspective on this? Because more is being asked of the seafarers, but the sort of role that they're playing and stuff, it's a lot more in depth now. So we will come on to training and all those aspects, but what are your initial thoughts?
I think from the flag perspective, as a regulatory body, we want to see the standard and the quality standard of ships keeping raised. So SIRE is, yes, charterers talking for SIRE inspection regime is, as I said, it's coming from totally paper version to digital era. And you asked about the gaps, and I think identified gaps are compared to paper-based and digital version, especially the evidence. And it's a tab version is quite smart way of doing the job, the same job with attaching evidence, taking photograph. So everything takes time. The seafarer's life is so busy from the seafarer's point of view, and it can be divided into different departments, many tabs. People can use different tabs and contribute to the same report. And the pre-SIRE, you can take photographs, attach it straight away, goes into the correct places. And that's the way, doing the job smart way in this digital era. And as I said, the pre-SIRE, collecting information by back office and see the trends, see where we need to focus more and across the fleet. So we didn't have that facility. We had to do everything manually. Now we can do it. It's more efficient way. I think, and from the flag point of view, we welcome, and we see, as I said at the beginning, we see the difference when compared with gas oil industry, oil ships compared to other ships. Port state control deficiencies or detentions are very low. Other categories. We see this is very clear indication of why these inspection regimes are quite effective. And same similar situation with the passenger cruise liners. So it's different area, but intensely inspected. So we see the difference, and we're very welcome. And we can talk about the crew training at the next round. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. Just really say to the panelists now, you know, it's open debate now. Any points you want to make, raise your hand, or we've got a raise hand facility at the bottom there, or just stick your hand up and interrupt. It's not a problem. I want to bring in sort of Leonid and also Frans here, just looking at from an operator's perspective. Are you seeing tangible reductions in preparation time? Because that's also a big area there. When you're using structural digital workflows for pre-SIRE inspections, how's it affecting on the operational side? Leonid, what are your thoughts on that?
It has a significant impact in all respects, and we do have some digital tools, and we don't have many of those which are required. I would split it in stages. Preparation for the inspection. SIRE 2.0 introduced completely different preparation regime in terms of completion of pre-inspection questionnaire, uploading set of certificates and photographs, and unfortunately, this process remains to be absolutely manual. Frans mentioned this already, and we are still discussing with OCIM how can we automate the process so that we don't need to upload certificates manually. We don't need to do a lot of manual work in the office in terms of preparing for the inspection and arranging the inspection itself. It's still very much manual process, and it doesn't help, unfortunately. This is where we have a huge room for improvement. The process of inspection, digitalize for inspectors' point of view. Inspectors are coming on board with a tablet. The system generates so-called CVIQ, which is vessels specific, which is used for the inspection process. Inspection is completed on the tablet. It's supported with photographs. So from the inspector's point of view, it's digital process. However, preparation for the inspection in the majority of cases still done manually. We were lucky to sign up for the service of Kaiko, and we're utilizing Kaiko self-assessment tool for SIRE 2.0, which is interactive digital checklist, which we have uploaded on the tablet, similar tablet which SIRE inspectors are using. So it makes the preparation much easier for crew to complete because they go around with the tablet, they answer the question, they support them with a photograph, and then it gets synchronized with the office. It makes office follow-up on the preparation process easier because we have these digital tools, but number of operators are still doing it manually, and it must be a nightmare for them. But equally important is post-inspection activity. In other words, analyzing inspection results and making adjustment to the management system to make sure the management system is supporting users in terms of preparation for the inspection and making processes more robust. For that, benchmarking tool, which Frans mentioned, which was offered by Intertanko, is extremely important. Unfortunately, this benchmarking tool is still used by limited number of Intertanko members. And although very informative, it doesn't represent the entire industry. And this is again room for improvement, where we can encourage more operators to use this benchmarking tool, because as Frans correctly said, it's just a drag and drop tool. You don't need any admin work to upload the reports. It's fully anonymous, but it helps operators to analyze the result and take measures. And the last but not least, its potential AI role in the process of inspection. We already said a couple of times, 1,094 pages of vessels inspection questionnaire, all related to familiarity of the crew with the requirements, with the processes. And nobody can remember everything by heart. Having efficient digital tool in the process of the inspection available to the seafarers would definitely help them to answer a number of inspectors' questions and provide the reference to the management system, to the company safety management system. And this will enhance familiarity and improve the inspection result. So we do have some digital tools available for the industry already, but we have quite a huge room for improvement, and we need to combine our efforts of all stakeholders, and we need to enhance the digitalization of the process. This is how I see it from the operator's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonid. Thank you. Frans, can I get your sort of...
Yeah, I recognize, of course, what Leonid is saying. And it's interesting to see that he mentions the process, but also the administrative burden, you know. We have quite some members who said, and now I'm talking about a year or two ago, when they started because we must be honest, OCAM did a fantastic job in the phased implementation of the SIRE 2, where they tested the system with quite some operators to see how if the IT was working properly, etc. But it gave also the chance to everybody to get used to the system. And that we had members employing especially people just to fill out all this documentation, the pre-inspection questionnaire, the HVPQ, name them all, certificates, etc., which has to be uploaded to make sure that the pictures are right, etc. And they are still there. So the automation in 1 year and of SIRE 2 is not what you would have expected where we are now. So the administration burden is there also for the inspectors. They have to review the documentation beforehand, of course. But it's interesting that Leonid mentions the process. So what we have done last year was to gather all this information from members, and on the benchmarking tool, you could see that in the beginning, numbers of negative observations in the process, so you have the hardware process and human factors, in the process was the highest one. So everybody had the chance to say, hey, we have to review our processes, where everybody expected that the human factor would be the highest number of negative observations. And that has been shifted now. In the meantime, it's really the human factor. So the operators are getting these processes well in place. That's good to see. Now it's the ongoing issues with the human factors. But here, again, I wanted to highlight the human factors. Yes, there is a way for your seafarers, for the junior officers, to explain what they are doing, how they are doing, etc. What we can see, however, from the performance influencing factors is that the highest number of negative observations you would expect in the beginning, stress, workload, fatigue, time constraint, etc. No. The highest number was in, I think, practices surrounding procedures and then recognition of safety, criticality. So here, the industry has to recognize that the inspectors who were used to the VIQ 7, yes, no, and they knew these things by heart, they have now to evaluate how a performance influencing factor, is chosen actually. And definitely there is a way for improvement, but like I would say as we heard from one of the oil majors, we are all still in the learning curve. The inspectors, the operators, the energy companies who are using also AI for their screening. I think little by little it will improve, that's for sure. But for the time being, it's like that when there are certain data that you say, this cannot be right, but we are sure that when the time progresses, it will all be better. And don't forget, guys, OCIMF will have huge amount of data on you. Huge amount of data.
Yeah. No, Frans, thank you very much for that. I mean, I'm going to bring in Kapila here, really, just coming onto the crewing and the training side, really, and looking at the rather regulators and flag states. But are they becoming, do you think, Kapila, really more receptive to digital record keeping for training and competency verification? Because this is really what we're talking about here as well. I mean, can you give us a bit of an insight into how receptive they are, the flag states and the regulators, to all of this advancements that are going on in digitalisation and AI? We will come on a little bit more with what Leonid is saying there about AI as well, because that's quite important. But your thoughts initially?
Yes. The competency training and certification, I would say, as a flag administration, we are in the process of digitalizing these all the documentation on behalf of the flag. Certificates we call COCs, and the COPs for proficiency certificates, and the training. All these going to be digitalized in turn. At the moment, we have electronic, it is version of certificates for the Bahamas flag. What does it mean? That means when compared with the paper-based certificate and electronic or digital certificate, the original certificate is still with the flag. The original certificate is still with the flag, the user having access to the original certificate through a QR code or authentication systems. So the authorities, the master on the ship or the ship manager, and anybody who wants to see the original certificates, they need to see the digital version of the certificate, not the paper-based. It is not the photocopied electronic certificate. They have to check the digital. This is something we see some inspectors, some postal control officers still saying, no, you don't have original certificate. Yes, they don't have original certificate themselves. It is with us, with the administrator. So you have access to the original certificates through the QR code. That's the difference of digital certificates. So it is, nobody can forge it. Nobody can duplicate it. And it is an additional layer of security. You can trust the digital certificate, not like paper-based certificate. So that's where we are going. Yes, Sim.
But coming back to that point, the regulators of the flag states and, the regional regulators as well, are they becoming more receptive to all of that? I mean, you talk about the QR codes, what have you, and the whole digitalization is going at a massive rate at the moment, accelerating at a massive rate. But are they becoming more putting in the processes that they need to put in to actually deal with all of this? Are they becoming more receptive, do you think? I mean, they will do at the IMO level, but I mean, talking, you've got a lot of flag states out there.
Yes, I think there is eager to go in this direction because of the IMO digitalization process, and they push towards IMO level push to the digitalization of certification and also the training as well in the electronic era, using AI tools as well for training. And we do the remote surveying as well. Again, AI-based remote surveying on special cameras. So it is in practice. So all this indicates we are going to fully digitalize systems. And this is the transition period, but we see the trend and most of the flag administration going in this direction. Yeah.
Fabian, have you got any comments you want to make on the regulators side there before I then go on to some of the training questions with Leonid and also with Frans? Have you got any comments you want to make there on how receptive the regulators and flag states are?
Well, we with Kaiko are deep in the corner of the ship manager and ship owner, so we're merely humble supporters in this interaction. So we don't have direct links to regulators and flags at this point. All I can say is that the SIRE 2 self-assessment that we provide does not yet replace any record keeping done by any of these instances. It does, of course, display a level of additional preparation that already makes a strong impression when the inspector sets foot on the ship, and therefore also for other regulatory bodies when they set a foot on the ship and see, for example, a tablet similar to what Leonid explained, then it already makes some impression. But on the hard acceptance of certain documentations, there we're not involved. I have to say.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you. Yeah, just coming on to Leonid and also to Frans as well. Looking at improving crew competence, and I think this is always a big issue, and how it's assessed and tracked over time. Digital platforms have got to be the way ahead on that, haven't they, Leonid? I mean, it as you say, the use of AI, the use of digitalization gives you the data, the information you need straight away. And that can also help to personalize career development paths and improve the whole mindset, crew engagement on board as well. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. The crew training plays a crucial role in preparation for SIRE inspection and successful process of the inspection. And at the end, this is what enhances the safety of operation. And this is the main goal of this new inspection regime. Once again, I strongly believe that we need to make compliance easier for our crew. And how to make it, how to achieve it. This is where digital tools playing the very significant role. We in Colombia, we started this journey well before SIRE 2.0 was launched, and we developed interactive training model for our crew, which is rank specific and which is based on SIRE 2.0 vessels inspection questionnaire, and it's also rank specific. In other words, the seafarer logs into the system with his rank, and system generate the set of questions applicable to the rank, and then training model is very much connected to the company management system, so that people are learning the requirements and also having a chance to see how these requirements are addressed in the company management system. And then the next step, this is training and preparation. The next step is self-assessment itself, where, as I already mentioned, we in Colombia, we use Kaiko, self-assessment tool for SIRE 2.0, which we found to be quite comprehensive and supportive to the process. And of course, we are looking actively into AI solution. How can we make AI available for our seafarers when they need to find a specific question, when they need to answer to specific question, when they need to find specific information related to industry requirements, company processes, and other information. This is not in place yet, but I see a huge future in that, and we are actively working on that.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Before I come on to Frans, I want to just respond to that. Some nice comments there from Leonid as far as Kaiko is concerned. How do you see it sort of going forward as far as the sort of the handling of the data that you've got and the systems that you might be able to be producing as well in reaction to all of this? What's your response to that?
Yeah, what we see is that digital platforms really help also personalize career paths, increase engagement from the seafarers, and are really a win-win for not just the company, but also seafarers and their prospects. So it allows them to really highlight their strengths, and it's an opportunity not just to track compliance. And for example, by having a digital profile that combines the trainings completed, the inspection performance, the self-assessment performance, of course, and then also the feedback from superintendent all in one platform, like that will also increase and improve crew engagement while making it easier to do the job. So what we have seen, for example, is that compared to a more manual preparation process, using a system like ours that is fully embedded in a digital daily work really drives time savings as well. So it motivates the crew further. One example where we worked with a company that went through the first SIRE 2 cycle, so to speak, using manual or existing legacy processes and then switched to Kaiko for the second cycle, is that their average negative SIRE observations dropped from 6.4 to 4.2, which is a 34% reduction. Frans, forgive me if I don't have the up-to-date numbers, but I think that should outperform the Intertanko benchmark in that case and push them over the line. This is a company in Greece, TMS Cardiff Gas. We also published a full case study together with them. And at the same time, also the pre-inspection preparation time, which I just mentioned, came down from roughly a month per ship to 10 to 15 days, which is still significant, of course, across all the ranks, but still a 60% reduction. And that is, of course, in part thanks to our system, but also in part to increasing familiarity of the crews with this new inspection regime that is more embedded into the day-to-day work. That's a few comments on the impact for the crew and the training.
Thank you, Fabian. I'm just bringing Frans in on this as well. I mean, Leonid talked about you've got to make compliance easier for crew. There's all those tools now available, like Fabian is talking about. What are your thoughts on that? And what does Intertanko tell? What are you telling your members as to what they should be doing to make life easier for themselves? Self-assessment tools. It makes sense, doesn't it? Should they all be ringing up Fabian and saying, "Come along and have a chat"?
Yeah. No, but it's an interesting to see and to hear the conversation. Yes, compliance must be made easier, and like you say, digitalization, it's changing so quickly. I have seen some presentations. Sorry, Kaiko, not for you, but from a few of our associate members. They do these 3 minutes videos for the youngsters on what is it? I'm too old.
TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, and apparently that's where the future goes for the youngsters. Is to I want to review or to see something. They have their phones. There it is, and there I can find it. Yes, it's interesting to watch how it's progressing. Although Intertanko is more leaning or directing to the more traditional things, we try at least with the practical seafarers guide, etc., to have a sort of an interactive system where you can link the preparation to your own SMS. But no, it's really interesting to see how it evolves. Actually, the training of the crew, absolutely, yeah. And we have to adapt to the young seafarers.
But also, I mean, the role of AI, adaptive training or personalized training, that's going to play more and more of a role, isn't it? It is just on a side on that. Is the industry ready for that? Do you think shipping has always been accused of being a little bit behind the curve on certain things, following other industries? But is it up there? Is it up there understanding what it needs to do?
I think the industry is going quite quickly. I heard from members that they are really using it, buying in things, like for example, for a TMSA review, AI, you cannot ask to the AI system to make ice cream, but it will bring immediately all the information of the company together, be it on SIRE 2, on their SMS, on the training of their crew, etc. So yes, the industry is working very hard on it. Same on the energy company side, how they are evaluating the inspections or other information what they need. I know that there is one major oil company which told us 2 years ago that they were employing extra people to review the SIRE 2, and they already laid off because they are using AI in the meantime. So yes, I think the industry is catching up very quickly. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left. It's like everything with these debates, it sort of whiz along at a massive rate. Just really want to just ask sort of final question to the panelists, really, and just butt in, everybody. But the industry is facing a shortage of competent officers. We know that. You know, the numbers are there. Enough seafarers, but we're talking about competent and qualified officers. And what role does digitalisation have in facing this challenge, but ensuring the recruitment of more crew and keeping them at sea? But, you know, how can you use digitalisation to, we've got to solve this crew shortage, competency shortage issue. I mean, I've been writing about shipping for 42 years. I think it was the first story I wrote back in 1985 was about crewing and the shortage of seafarers. So, you know, how can digitalisation improve on that? Leonid, do you want me to come to you first, sir? And then, yeah.
Yes, sure, Sean. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a very big challenge for entire industry. And shortage and the lack of competency. And enhancement of competency is a very important task for all of us. So what we decided to do, it's no secret that the competency can be only improved through training and experience. How to make training more efficient? One of the things we found that you need to make training for people so that it's not a boring exercise. And in order to achieve this, we started working on gamification of certain training models. One of very successful exercise which we did, we developed call rec game. Call rec game, it's something which people like to play, and they are learning through this process. We do this and we utilize this approach in developing of new training models. You cannot gamify all training models, of course, and definitely playing the game with SIRE 2.0 would be a bit challenging. But in general, if you make the training not just boring exercise, but something really interesting for people, might be a solution. It will not resolve everything, but at least it will improve the quality of training and will enhance the interest among seafarers.
And I think that's a fair point, and I'll come on to Frans and to Fabian in a second. I want to get Kapila's views on this as well. But when you look at social media now, everything is 2-minute reels. Everything is a 1-minute reel. You know, here's how you make this recipe. Here's how you do this. Here's how you change a light bulb. You know, everything, and that's how the young generation now. Part of the question there was recruitment of more of crews for the future and keeping them at sea. Fabian, let me come to you on that. Role of digitalisation. We've got to keep having crews coming in. We've got to sell shipping as a career of the future. And there's going to be parts of the world that we will always go to. But times are changing and there's competition out there for these amazing people that we want to attract in.
Yeah, I'll keep it short, right? Digitalization has 3 roles when it comes to seafarer engagement and retention. Of course, first, it's about reducing low-value administrative work. Second, what Leonid said, the reduction of time to competence for new officers, and third, of course, what you mentioned, recruitment, and a modern data-driven work environment that really presents tools that make it easier for the people that want to do a good job to do a good job, that attracts people. And the next generation of seafarers expects good tools, and showing that your fleet uses up-to-date digital platforms, is working on AI support, and has clear development paths, of course, that makes a sea career more attractive and also more credible to a tech-savvy generation.
Brilliant, thank you. Kapila, let me come to you and then I'll have the last word to Frans. But what are your thoughts on this? We are facing a very exciting and interesting future ahead with digitalisation, but what are your thoughts as far as the impact on crewing and the manning issue?
Yes, from the regulatory point of view, it is important for us to know the people who got the training actually competent, and the training institutes, we as flag administrators need to approve STCW training. So when we are approving STCW training across the world on behalf of the flag, we see digitalized training courses, but we are quite, if we take a different aspect of the benefits and the challenges of digitalized training regime, because we don't think every course can be digitalized or can be done online. And we don't go in that direction. So we see which courses can be done by online, which course need to be done practically, hands-on experience. We don't allow to replace this kind of training because it is important to get the people competent by doing it rather than doing video games on the screen. So we clearly see limits, and when we are approving training centers, we see some training centers using VR facilities, virtual reality, and firefighting on VR. No, it is not possible to do firefighting on VR. You can do practicing certain things doing on VR, but certain things really no, because shipping is still hazardous. We need to identify it's a challenging job. And we need to go into the real world, to the sea, and people need to feel and touch and use all 5 senses when you're on board. It is not like doing training on a screen. So we see these limitations, but we see the benefits because the training can be started from home, joining crew, and certain aspects of the training can be done from home. Early days, we had to go to the training center and gather everybody. No, now it is personalized, and you can start from home. And when they come on board, you have done much of the work. Policies, procedures, SMS, certain theory parts, yes, you have already done, tested before you come on board. Practical things you can do on board. So as a regulator has said, we see the benefits and also challenges and the limitations. Thank you.
No, thank you, Kapila. Thank you. Frans, last word to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Yeah, what can I add to that one? Not too much. Be it that, like I said in the very beginning, we are looking at Intertanko at how to attract young seafarers to the industry. And the idea was how to provide them in not a seafarer's job, but a career in the maritime industry. What we have found out actually is that there are quite some seafarers or potential seafarers available. The problem seems to be that we need to give them time to go on board as cadet. So we are working now together with OCIMF. How come that there are so much people coming out of the academies, of the universities, and they are not given the time they need or the space they need on board of ships? We are looking at what are the barriers for operators, managers to allow cadets on board or to take cadets on board, and how to overcome these barriers in the future. So there seems to be quite some talent out there, but if we don't give them the opportunity to go at sea, then they disappear in other industries.
I mean, that's always been an issue, isn't it? Cadet spaces on board ship. You know, if they're not getting into the industry, then they can't benefit from the advantages of digitalisation and what have you. So, but I cannot understand for the life of me why the industry complains about a lack of competent seafarers, but doesn't have them on board as cadets. I just find that quite strange. But gentlemen, thank you very, very much indeed for your time today. As normal, we gather some very, very good minds like we have today. And running a debate like this is very easy from my perspective, because you gentlemen know your stuff very, very well. And thank you very much indeed for sharing your views and your comments. As I said, today's debate has been video recorded, so we will be editing it and putting it out online, as well as on Ship Management International website. But thank you also to Fabian and Kaiko for helping us put this together as well. As always, Fabian, thank you. Leonid, Kapila, and also Frans, thank you very much indeed for your time. Really, really enjoyed talking to you today, and look forward to talking to you next time as well. But good debate. Thank you.